Hello everyone, myself Vivek Devani and my topic is abnormal reflexes which are present at the time of stroke. So now first let's see what is stroke. So stroke or brain attack is the sudden loss of neurological functions caused by an interruption of the blood flow to the brain. So now we are going to discuss the abnormal reflexes which are present during stroke. So all the abnormal reflexes which are present during stroke are listed over here. So now let's discuss each one of them one after the another. So let's first start with the flaccidity. When there will be flaccidity present in the patient, all the reflexes are mostly suppressed or absent. That will be termed as hyporeflexia. And as the patient shifts gradually to the stage of spasticity, all the reflexes will reoccur and will become somewhat hyperactive. That will be termed as hyporeflexia. Mostly the deep tendon reflexes will become hyperactive in that stage, and as gradually the spasticity increases, there are chances that the clonus can be seen. Mostly the clonus will be seen at two places, at the tendoachilles or at the wrist flexors in the body. Mostly the superficial reflexes such as the plantar reflex, abdominal reflex, cremasteric reflex and the corneal reflex are mostly lost at that time. But while assessing for the plantar reflex, Babinski sign positive can be seen. So what is Babinski sign mean? So while assessing for the plantar reflex, the normal response we get is the plantar flexion of the great toe. But when the dorsiflexion of the great toe is seen, is termed as the Babinski sign positive. So many of the primitive reflexes are also get released at the time of stroke. So now let's see which are the primitive reflexes which get released at the time of stroke. The first is asymmetrical tonic neck reflex, in which when there will be rotation of the head to the one side, which will lead to flexion and adduction of the limb at the same side, and extension and abduction of the limb at the opposite side. Next is symmetrical tonic neck reflex, in which when the person's head will go into flexion, which will cause the entire upper extremity into flexion and the lower extremity into extension, and when the person's head goes into extension, will cause upper extremity into extension and the lower extremity into flexion. So the next is symmetrical tonic labyrinthine reflex, in which when the patient will assume the supine position, it will cause an increase in the extensor tone of muscles, and when the patient will assume a prone position, it will cause an increase in the flexor tone of muscles. The next is tonic lumbar reflex, in which when there will be rotation of the trunk at the hemiplegic side over the pelvis, will cause flexion of the hemiplegic lower limb and extension of the upper limb. And next is flexor withdrawal, in which when there will be a sensory stimuli given at the sole of the foot, will cause an sudden hip knee flexion. In fact, in some it is such as dominating that it may interfere during the assessment of the plantar reflex. So the next is positive supporting reaction, in which when the pressure is applied at the bottom of the foot, which will cause contraction of the muscles of the lower limb, which will make the lower limb like a rigid tilt. So now let's see about the associated reactions. So the associated reactions are the tonic postural reactions in the muscles, which are the abnormal reactions are usually seen in the hemiplegic patients due to a response of movement either on the same side of the body or in any other part of the body. This abnormal positioning of the limb becomes very obvious during walking without any kind of assistance. So now let's see the impairments of the higher level reactions. So the reflexes which are controlled by the higher level of the brain, such as writing reactions, equilibrium reactions, and the automatic adaptation of the postural rod, mostly all of them are impaired. So the first one is writing reaction. So in these are the automatic responses which maintain the position of the head, trunk and limb with respect to each other in the proper alignment. This helps us in many activities of our daily life, such as standing, sitting, getting up or rolling. So the next is equilibrium reactions. So these are the normal responses which helps us during any kind of loss of balance, and it mostly helps during any kind of danger of fall. So the next one is automatic adaptation of the postural tone. So the automatic adaptation which takes place to the for the allowing any kind of movement or for maintaining any kind of posture is known as is termed as automatic adaptation of the postural tone. For example, the contraction of the erector spinae while bending forward and thus preventing us from falling is a best example for automatic adaptation for the postural tone.
Thank you all for listening me.